Talking to you, baby. I just get carried away. You blow my mind. I just get carried away. Talking to you, baby. I just get carried away. You blow my mind.
Yo guys, what is good? Welcome back on the Uncle Sharma channel. We are here to do a big Derby d'Italia preview one day earlier than I usually do because I'm just busy tomorrow, and fortunately I was able to book my friend Nima for his yearly appearance on the channel from the Italian football podcast Emperor Inter. Well, you must know Nima. If you don't know, you've been living under a rock. Thank you for joining us, Nima. How are you doing?
It's a pleasure to be with you, man. It's good to be with you. Always a pleasure.
Yeah,
always a
we only
pleasure,
bring you
never
on
a
for the big
chore.
games. Sorry?
Always a pleasure, never a chore.
Well, we'll see. We'll see about that. If we're already getting the Nima Napoletano comments in the chat from Kirby. Good to see you, Simi, in the chat. Mattia, thank you very much as always for reminding the people to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Noyano. Game of the season, I tell you. Is it the game of the season, Nima? Let's get straight into it. Is it the biggest game of our season? Is it season defining this?
I think whenever Inter play Juve, it's always going to be the one of the biggest, if not the biggest game of the calendar, regardless of when it is, what the season is. But it is a very particular moment in the season, in the sense that you are 1 point behind Napoli. You've got Napoli in a couple of weeks. You've got a Napoli who's away at Lazio. They've lost twice. You've got Conte doing his usual Conte stuff. I don't know if you saw today his comments about, about.
No, I haven't seen them.
Oh no, he was the victim again. You see, when I was complaining about the VAR, you all were silent.
Oh, he was a visionary, was he? He was the visionary.
Yeah, he was Jesus dying on the cross today, as per usual. But no, so it's a very particular point, and given also that Inter have the Champions League and the Coppa Italia, it is a very special season, and Inter's performances have not been very good this season, and very inconsistent in last few weeks. You had a great performance against Monaco, you had a not so good performance against Milan, you had an awful collapse against Fiorentina, then you had a reaction. So it's difficult to know where Inter is, but it's always a big whenever Inter play Juve, it is always a big occasion. It's the biggest occasion. It's the biggest. If you ask me, it's the biggest game in all of Italian football, for various reasons, historically, politically, dramatically. So yeah, it is probably the biggest game in Italian football domestically. Yeah, but it's
where do you fall on it? Like, because I always say, I know a lot of the Italian Interisti, especially guys that are from Milano or the area, they're always, they always say Milano, the Derby di Milano is the biggest. But to me, this is the one I feel the most. Like, I just hate those guys.
Yeah. No, this is the big one for Interisti who aren't from Milan. This will always be the big one. Interisti from Milan, it will always be Milan, because then again, they live in Milan, they have family, they have friends, they have classmates, workmates who are Milan fans, and they have to deal with that every single day. Whilst if you're not from there, the Juve, everything that's happened and all of that is far more spicier.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always going to be like that. But yeah, I agree. Every journalist I know, every friend I have from Milan tells me, no, the derby is always going to be more important than the Juve game.
Yeah. And what do you make? You kind of mentioned it about Inter and the big games. Are you concerned about a big game record? Is it? I mean, obviously it's time to turn it around, but is it concerning you? The loss, the first in the derby, the draw against Juve. You mentioned the Fiorentina games. Atalanta's the only one that, we're kicking their ass. Lazio was good. Are you worried in general?
I'm not happy with the performances and results this season compared to last season. I think Inter have looked a bit sluggish all year. It's not the same energy. But then again, you can't expect that either. But at some point, I was waiting for the La Svolta, as they say in Italy. The next step. When is Inter going to kick into gear? They haven't. They haven't consistently kicked into gear just yet. The results are good. Don't get it twisted. The results have been really good. But they're not as good as last season. That can be expected. But I'm waiting for Inter to kick into gear. We haven't seen that yet. I think you can't say that when you lose a 2-goal lead in 15 minutes at home to Juve, that you're happy with that. You can't say that missing a penalty against Napoli makes you happy when you would have won 3 points instead of 1 is going to make you happy. So it is frustrating, but it's not irreparable. That's the main. If you're going to be the other side of that is it's not irreparable. You actually still have everything in your own hands. If we're perfectly honest, Inter just need to take it one game at a time. They need to try to do something against Juve, then Genoa, then Napoli when they reach that point. And then in between, you got the Coppa Italia against Lazio, which I actually think Inter will take. They will want to win that. I think Inzaghi will want. I think Inzaghi wants that silver star. 10. So he wants to be he's won 1 gold star. I think he would like to have a silver star to go to his collection. So I do think he's going for that because he knows.
Well, would you do that? Because I personally wouldn't. I would just try to brick that if we can. If
you'd asked me before the Supercoppa, had they won the Supercoppa, yes, I think I wouldn't give a damn. But the manner in which that Supercoppa defeat came is not good. No. And the way that Inter have performed overall, I think Inzaghi's not stupid. He understands that if he finishes this season with 0 titles, then it is almost impossible for him to continue. And that's just how it is. But if he has 1 trophy, at least 1 or 2 trophies, and he has won 2 trophies every single season he's been at Inter. So we have to remember that. So I think he understands that. He's very smart. He's very diplomatically intelligent in how things work. So I don't think it's as much as wanting those to play Milan at least twice again. I think it's more an issue of, well, beating Milan or winning the Coppa Italia will be worth a lot when you end the season, depending on how it goes in the Serie A and the Champions League. If you win the Coppa Italia, if you win the Club World Cup and go far and finish second in the Serie A and maybe go to a semi-final in the Champions League, that's not a failure. If you overall as the season goes, it's not good enough in the Serie A. You should have probably won the Serie A, but it's not a failure of a season. 0 trophies would be a failure of a season.
Yeah, something to fall back on, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's really important for him.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just, with Conte, we know what he's like when it comes to one competition focus. And I feel like, as you said, if he is smart, would you not want to focus all your eggs in it wouldn't be 1 basket. We still have the Champions League, 2 baskets. Because I think that's what the squad is made for. I think maximum 2 competitions. That's why we always want 2 trophies. Because I think this team is made for 2 competitions. 3 is a bit of a stretch for me.
Yeah, agreed. But the thing is, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's. I think we're going to have an indication now over the next 2-3 weeks where Inter are, because if Napoli were to, now he's reverting to a 3-5-2. If he beats Lazio, which I think he can, then I think that will have ramifications on Inter, who'll probably go out and just be okay. Well, that's it. I mean, essentially, that's the Serie A. We need to just guard our second spot, focus on the Coppa and the Champions League, which I kind of have in my head they're already going to do after the derby. For me, that's when the shoe dropped a little bit for me. The penny dropped a little bit for me that this is not an Inter that's going to win the Scudetto this season, because in order to win leagues, you have to put in stretches. You have to put in stretches for wins in a row and play well, and the way that Inter did last January, February, if you remember, when it mattered the most, that's when they put in like 7, 8, 9 wins in a row, and they killed the league off.
Yeah,
I don't see Inter doing that this season.
And Juve dropped off, where it looks like this Napoli team still has some juice.
They do have some juice because they only have one competition a game, and they've got he is the best manager in the world, Conte, when it comes to playing in one competition. There's nobody as obsessive and well prepared and when he goes into games as he is. One game a week for him, there is no one better. He turns up prepared, and over prepared, and the players show that confidence and belief in what they're doing. So that's why, I think we'll know. But I mean, if you're asking me what I think, no, my feeling has been for the last couple of weeks has been, I think Conte will win the Scudetto this season. I really do. Wow. I think, my feeling has been that. But I think Inter will
going to be in Napoli for the celebrations, the accusations that keep coming in.
Yeah, no, I wish I could. Naples is unbelievable. It's a fantastic city, and to be in Naples for a celebration, I mean, sweet Jesus, if you have the chance to be in that city for a celebration, you absolutely should go there. So yeah.
So your thought is now Inter are not winning the Scudetto. You think?
I feel that it's ever since, like, it kind of everything of this from the start of the season until including the derby, it just felt like the consistency and energy isn't there, regardless of what happens. And that's why I tweeted out that, look, I think focus on the Champions League and the Coppa Italia. Those are the two main ones. The league, you're going to finish top 4. You're going to finish second. Everybody knows that. You just guard that out, and focus on the silverware, because the Coppa Italia, silver star, that does mean something in Italy. It does have a weight to it. And the Champions League. I mean, if you win the Champions League, nothing else. It wipes out everything. Like that is it. That's the big enchilada.
Yeah, but I'll wait for this game on Sunday night to give you the answer. But I still believe we can do it.
We can do it. I just don't think.
I think right now I still think we will do it, because our quality is just so much more superior than Napoli. I just feel like at some point it will just carry us through, just the sheer quality that we have.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we lose or don't win against Juve, then I'll probably have to reevaluate permanently my opinion. Maybe I'm just a constant optimist when it comes to certain things, but I still have belief in this team.
Look, like I said, Inter have everything in their own hands. Inter have literally.
And we had Conte as well, right, Nima? Like, we know, like, the games that we watched against Udinese and Roma, like, when things don't work out, it's not like he's got a plan B under his,
he doesn't. He has no plan B. as we are all. He has one way. His. Can't remember who it was who told me, but I thought it was such a good example. He said contest teams are like a marching band. They all
Beckman, right?
Yeah, they're a marching band, and every instrument within that has to be fine tuned. And if something isn't working, it just doesn't. It's all off. So
exactly.
That's how he is.
Yeah, and the fact that they still, I mean, sometimes I just you see teams. They have still Juan Jesus, like in the Lord's year 2025, starting at centre back, and he looks an absolutely competent centre back. And Mazzocchi looks completely out of his. He looks like a Serie B player, but Politano is looking good for them. Anguissa's back to Anguissa levels. Lobotka still at Lobotka, like. But
it's funny with Politano, isn't it? I mean, he was kind of. Both Spalletti and Conte didn't want him at Inter. He had problems with both of them, and he ends up winning the Scudetto at Napoli with Spalletti, and now he's become an important player under Conte at Napoli. It's a funny little thing how that worked out, because they both didn't really want him at Inter.
Yeah.
But it's funny.
And then he might be a wing back, they're saying, at this weekend, because of this injury issues. It looks like he's going back to the 3-5-2.
Well, to be fair, he didn't really stray from it. It wasn't exactly. It was a 4-3-3 with a big asterisk. It was a Conte 4-3-3.
I mean, Politano's like doing shuttle runs all the way back to the wing back anyway.
Exactly. So I don't think it's that much of a stretch. I think the most important thing is that what's his name, Raspadori will now. That's what I think is going to be decisive for them. I think playing Raspadori in that role in a 3-5-2, you get the most out of him. You put him in positions where he's actually very good. And remember, Conte wanted Raspadori when he was at Inter already. So
yeah, I wanted him too. I mean, I still
I
would
remember,
take
yeah.
him. Yeah.
Me too, absolutely. In a front two attack, you kidding me? Who wouldn't take him? I mean, he's a great player.
Yeah. Let's see if he's Aspadori or Raspadori. Let's talk about Juve a little bit quickly, Nima. Not too much because we don't like them, but you know, you do cover the Serie A on a unbiased level for the Italian Football Podcast. If you don't know, check them out for sure. My favorite Italian football podcast. Our recent record against them isn't too bad. I mean, they've taken into account the Coppa Italia games here, so those are included. But we have 2 wins against them, against their 1 in the last 6 times we faced them, and we have 3 draws in them. And you can see the amounts of just one goal score lines, apart from the stupid 4-4 in between.
It's mad, isn't it?
And then, of course, in the league, they're not doing as good as I think they should have been doing. They're 5th at the moment with 43 points, 11 points behind us with only 1 loss, 2 goals less conceded than us, but 17 goals scored less than us as well. I mean, that is the bore. Like, I thought Allegri's Juve was boring, but this Juve team is, I would say, almost as boring as well, because they're just happy to just keep possession and lull the game to sleep for most of the time.
Well, the thing is with Allegri, there was a structure and idea as to what he did. There was, he knew what he was doing. He wanted to score and then shut games down. Thiago Motta's teams, I've watched, I think I've missed at most 1 or 2 of their games since the start of the season. It looks well in games until they reach the final third. Then everything flatlines. It's as if they're looking at one another going, okay, what do we do now? They have nothing. It's worse than Allegri, and he has done worse than Allegri in each of Allegri's 3 seasons. So there's no excuse with this much, investment as well. So, I find it. I do think he's under pressure. I do think he is under. He is under pressure. He is under sotto esame, and I wonder, this week is very decisive for them. They narrowly beat PSV Eindhoven in a very tight game. A loss here and getting knocked out by PSV. I wonder if he survives that, because nobody expected Juve to win the Champions League, but for Juve to be knocked out by PSV Eindhoven, that's a disaster. And also being locked in a top 4 battle with Milan and Fiorentina and Lazio. It's a huge underachievement. It really, really is.
Yeah, it is. It is, with the amount of I mean, they've changed a lot of the team. They've bought a lot of players, sold a lot of players, but I don't really buy that as an excuse too much with the quality of players that they've bought. I mean, Cope Miners, the fact that he's looking like a 60 million flop. Whose fault is that? I mean, if it was Allegri, as you would say, everything would be blamed on Allegri.
Yeah, exactly. Douglas Luiz has been a has been a disaster. I mean, Douglas Luiz more than Coop Miners for me has been. Douglas Luiz has been. He's been.
Well, I think Coop Miners more because he's from Serie A, so you'd think he doesn't need the adaptation, or he'd work it out.
I actually blame Thiago Motta for Coop Miners flopping. I don't understand why he doesn't play him deeper.
He always keeps him as the number 10, right, in the 4-2-3-1 for some reason.
Yeah, it's crazy. And in whilst we've seen what Cup Miners can do when you play him a little bit deeper at Atalanta. So I think that is entirely on Motta. Douglas Luiz is a different one. I mean, that is more on, what's his name, Giuntoli, who is having a shocker. I mean, Lloyd Kelly, sweet Jesus. I mean, I can tell you that the things I'm hearing about that is Newcastle can't believe their luck. They can't believe they actually got 20 million for Kelly. It's mad. And that is because he's desperate. He's completely desperate. And they have bought an absolute, a dud. I don't see why they had to get rid of Danilo and bring in Kelly. I don't get it.
Yeah. No, there's been a lot of weird decision making. The whole hoisting thing as well. Like, is really weird decision making. Not
Well,
that
not just that. Fagioli, Rovella. I mean,
Fagioli was hilarious. They made a whole documentary on his comeback from the betting scandal, and they kicked him out of the club a few months later.
Yeah, but Rovella's doing brilliantly at Lazio.
Mm.
So they are in a bit of a mess. Juve. There's no denying that, both on and off the pitch, and it doesn't seem that John Elkann is too keen on Juve anymore, to be honest. So
yeah. What is your feeling going into this? I mean, we're talking about Juve in primarily in a negative way, but as Mattia said, they haven't lost at home all season, and I'm not really too confident. I mean, hopefully the Champions League game has taken some energies out of them, right? Going into this game, because that looked like an intense game.
Oh, it was. It was mentally intense, and it was a physical battle, and so it cost a lot of energy for sure. And Inter should be very happy that they were able to rest and not have to play those 2 extra games, because Inter need this rest, and they need the rest because after Genoa, it's pretty much games every 3 days again. So Inter need these 2 weeks. They really do. They were exhausted. And I think we'll see a much more energetic Inter. I think we'll see a much more hungry Inter. Whether or not that's enough to beat Juve, that remains to be seen. But I don't expect to see 4-4 or 3-3. I expect to see a very, like you showed in the stats, I expect to see a very, very closed affair. Because Thiago Motta's not stupid. He knows he can't lose. So it wouldn't surprise me if he kind of just shut the game down.
But at the same time, as you said, because they're in a top 4 race, it's not guaranteed that Italy will have the 5.
No, far from it. Far from it.
So they also do need points. But maybe if he's smart, he's probably going to say 1 point. I'll take that in this game. One thing I wanted to ask, sticking on Juve, Nima. So this is a Sky Sport Italia predicted lineups. If you can see, let me zoom in a minute.
I'm just putting my glasses. There we go.
Seems like Thiago Motta has listened to us. So you, Cooper Miners, may play in the pivot. Savona left back, Timothy Weah at right back, Weston McSauce McKennie, Ranch Sauce McKennie at CAM, which is a disgrace to the number 10 position. And of course, Randall Colomuani up front instead of Vlahovic. What are you making of this lineup? Any surprises or anything that strikes you?
I'd say no. I'm not surprised at all. I'm a little bit surprised that Conceição start, but that suggests to me that he wants to put 1v1 against Di Marco, and try to exploit the fact that Di Marco has basically no pace. And that means
he gave us a lot of trouble in the first game. Didn't he?
Yeah, that means Bastoni and that means Mkhitaryan. That side have to be awake. I do think, however, that Acerbi will start, and I think that's important.
Yes.
I think Acerbi will start because he was very good against Fiorentina. Some would even say he was a man of the match. So I think when it comes to strikers like that, I think it's important to have Acerbi there if he's fit, and he was excellent against Fiorentina. So I think he should start. I think Pavard should start. I think Bastoni will start, and Di Marco. The only problem is when you played Pavard and Dumfries together is that you essentially kill the ability of Pavard to overlap, because since Inzaghi doesn't use Dumfries correctly in the build-up phase, but uses him more to push him up, Pavard can't really make any overlapping runs. There's no space. So that's a negative thing. And that's why I'd rather have Pavard and Darmian playing together than Dumfries and Pavard. I just think it just makes Inter more predictable. But then, of course, you've got the midfield. And do you start Zielinski or Çalhanoğlu? That's more interesting. And how do they fare up against Locatelli, Koopmeiners, and McKennie? I think in this game, I'd still start with Çalhanoğlu, Mkhitaryan, and Barella, simply because that's what I'm seeing there is that suggests to me that lineup that they're going for the counter-attack kind of approach, that they want to hit Inter on the counter. And so I'd rather have Çalhanoğlu start.
Yeah, and I saw the game, PSV, like Timothy Weah, he was good going forward as a right back, but surely that's something that Inzaghi should be looking to exploit on that side, because he's not a right back by trade at all.
Yeah, and Vega was good against PSV, but there's
Yeah,
still
he was very
question
good.
marks. Yeah, it's still question marks around him.
Mm.
Gatti, so Lautaro and Thuram has not been good this side of the new year. He's
No.
looked a bit, but so hopefully he can find his groove again. So he hasn't scored for a couple of games, but yeah, look, it's I expect a very evenly balanced tactical game, not many chances, and Inter need to be clinical. That's the most important thing. They need to be clinical.
Yeah, going on back to Renato Vega, like you mentioned, because I saw a video from Hajbul yesterday talking about that PSV game. He said Renato Vega made 17 passes into the opposition half in that PSV game. So like he's finally, they found that Calafiori profile of player, kind of to ball carry or pass, progressively. If you remember, Cabal gave us lots of trouble in the first game as well with his little driving run into the middle. So hopefully, Inzaghi and staff have looked at that and have a countermeasure for if Renato Vega's gonna.
I hope Inter basically do the same thing back to them. Here's the ball, you do something with it.
Yeah, exactly, because they are looking completely devoid of ideas when they have the ball. But have Inter done that at any point in the season in Nima? Apart from the Champions League, it seems like in the Serie A it's a completely different ball game.
Yeah, but he hasn't. But I think at the same time, Inzaghi has to be. I think he's also very pragmatic, and I think he looks at this and he can't expect to go to Allianz Stadium and dominate Juve away like that. You just can't do that. You have to be more smarter than that. If we were at home, I'd be more worried. Given that Inter are away, I'm not as worried. I think there's going to be. I think he has prepared for large moments, large parts of a game where Inter are without possession.
Yeah,
I do think.
And from what I'm hearing, I think the Curva again won't be there, so there won't be much support for the Inter players out there. So they're gonna have to, buckle in for a rough night.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's going to be a game that costs a lot out of Inter, and that's why it's going to cost a lot energy-wise, and that's why I think it's so important that they have a week's rest in Genoa. I think it's so important that they have a week's rest before and after. So it's actually that's a good thing. And then you've got Genoa, and then you got Lazio in the Coppa, and then Napoli. And if I'm not mistaken, after that it's the international break, yeah?
Yeah, let's have a look.
I think so. I'm not sure. I think so.
So yeah, Genoa 22nd, Lazio 25th. Yeah, so it looks like there's a.
No, it's
break.
Monza. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Monza.
Oh, there is no international break in March, isn't there? Doesn't look like it. That looks weird.
So 2nd March, 9th March. Yeah.
Oh, it's after Atalanta.
There it is, after Atalanta. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
That's pretty good. So yeah, you can give your all finish up with Atalanta and then rest, and then you've got an easier return.
You do, but then you have the Champions League and the Coppa Italia potentially.
Oh yeah. And then you add those games.
Which I hope Inter play Juve. I want to play Juve in Europe. I don't want to play Milan.
Oh yeah. I'm sick. Like it potentially could be another 4 Milan derbies if.
I don't have the energy for that.
I cannot handle that.
I don't want that, especially given how the psychology of the derby has changed so dramatically this season. I can do with another 2 because it's in a cup game. Because if you remember, Inzaghi did struggle. This season overall reminds me a lot of Inzaghi's first season.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the same, but it's very, very reminiscent. Both results and both in moments and postponed games and missing penalties against top contenders and not killing off games and so on. But also in terms of the Milan derby, if you remember that season, Inter drew 1 and lost the Serie A derby, and Milan won. But if I remember correctly, we beat them in the Coppa Italia and over 2 legs, and we won the Coppa Italia. I think go back to basics.
We thought that Coppa Italia win was going to change the thing. It was like, we beat them 3-0. Now they're going to collapse in Serie A. But it was like, no,
it was their season. But it's I think this is important for Inzaghi to understand how to handle Conceição, to start a little bit like he did with Pioli. Okay, how do we deal with this? We've lost 1, we've drawn 1. We need to find, or we've lost 2, we've drawn 1. we need to find a way to handle Milan again. No other better way to do it than play them twice in the Coppa Italia, play off the first leg, 0-0 draw, and then in the second leg go for the kill like they did last time around, having prepared a month for that game. Do you know what I mean? Like in order to swing that back. So again, it's like it's a lot. It's a, you know, history doesn't, you know, repeat itself. It rhymes. So I do see a lot of kind of lots of things that remind me of Inzaghi's first season.
I agree. Yeah. We've been saying that all season. It does have the makings of that first season a lot, but hopefully we're wrong about that.
With a happier ending.
Yeah, please, happy ending massage. Going to the question that I think
married, man, you can't say things like that.
I was talking about you.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah. Every Interista out there is wishing, hoping that Marcus Thuram is going to be fit. I know I read today that he was not part of the team training still today, but I'm guessing even if he's 60-70% fit by tomorrow, Inzaghi will start him, right?
Look, I think they're going to make a decision tomorrow. We'll know tomorrow. I don't think Inzaghi is going to risk Thuram, because if he's not fully fit, he's not going to risk him, because there's too many important games coming up. Whether or not he starts Arnautovic or Thuram or Taremi is a different matter. I think from what I understand, Taremi is fully fit. Arnautovic so and so. So we'll have to wait and see who starts. And I think who starts that game is going to be very interesting moving forward. For in terms of the indications we get on where they are and so on.
Yeah. So Nita's having dinner at a Persian restaurant. Would you? What would you say? You know, we know that, of course. Speaking of Persians, Mehdi Taremi, your countryman, he has disappointed all of us this season.
It's been underwhelming. It's been very underwhelming. I think some of the criticism.
Has he been overtaken by Arnautovic in the pecking order?
Well, that's the question I was kind of alluding to just a second ago. You know, who starts if Thuram doesn't? And that's going to be very interesting to see where. I think that's a strong indication. I think the thing with Taremi is that Taremi is he's not going to be the prima punta. He never was going to be the prima punta. He's not even that anymore. He hasn't been that at Porto. He hasn't been that for the national team. He's more of the second striker. So he was never going to score more than maximum 10-15 goals in all comps this season. I think he's been underwhelming, his performances overall. But if you look at he's played 448 minutes in the Champions League. He's basically started 7 out of 8 games there. 2 goals, 1 assist. Arsenal, City, Bayer Leverkusen, Leipzig, Young Boys, and so on. He's been overwhelming. Overall, he's been good in those games. The issue is that the Serie A in 18 games, he's played 444. That's 24 minutes a game. And most of those, is when you rotated in the Coppa and the Champions League. So that's why he hasn't played a lot. My issue with him is when he has played, it's not been good enough. I've been underwhelmed. I'm not happy with his performances in the Serie A. The Supercoppa, Coppa Italia, he's been decent. Champions League has been good. The problem has been when he's come off the bench in the Serie A, I'm not been overwhelmingly happy with those performances at all. And I think he should do better. And it seems to me that it's a mental thing more than a qualitative thing. I think I see a lot of people saying, oh, he's finished at this level and blah, blah, blah. No, I think it's a mental thing. I hope that he can, for his confidence sake, that he can get an assist. If he starts against Juve, he needs to get an assist and get that feeling with Lautaro. The communication between them on the pitch needs to be better, because I don't see him getting more than 65 minutes anyway. Thuram will come on after that.
But I thought the derby, the Supercoppa, where he had the goal and the assist, I thought that would be his turning point. I thought that would be his Christian Eriksen free kick moment, but it wasn't.
Well, because Inter lost that game. You see, that's the thing, that the result matters. If you score and make an assist and you win, that gives a positive push to everything. But even if you do that and the team loses and collapse the way they did against Milan, it doesn't mean anything really.
Okay. Yeah. And as you mentioned privately in the group chats, you've mentioned kind of his demeanor or like personality, you say, is like
He's
quite
shy. He's very laid
Iranian.
back. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
very shy and laid back. He doesn't take a lot of space. He's not the guy who walks into a room and dominates. He's
You can
not.
tell that. Like, it feels like we've seen it so many times. You've been watching Inter longer than me. Sometimes the shirt just becomes too heavy for some players.
No, it does, but he's not that character. He's not that larger than life character, and unfortunately for him, or fortunately, he's not that guy. He's much more shy. He's more in the background. He's a different kind of leader. He's the captain of Iran, but he's a different kind of leader. He's more kind of leads from a calmer place kind of thing, and also like he's quite shy. And also the dynamic in Iran is a little bit different as well. The Iranian national team is a completely different animal. But yeah, he is a bit shy and kind of late, takes it. He was that at Porto as well. And the reason he was so popular there is because of that, because he was given room. Conceição basically tailor-made a role for him, and he exploded under him. And that's what I'm a little bit worried about, because I think if he doesn't start delivering now, I think he might go to Milan in the summer, to be honest. Which I think would be...
Oh, you're saying he's going to join Conceição?
It wouldn't surprise me at all. No.
Oh.
And I wouldn't want that. I would not want that, because they will make Inter pay. Like, those two know each other inside out. They work together, and that would be not good for Inter at all. So I hope that he starts scoring. I hope that he starts getting into his own. And also, Inzaghi is a good coach to have in these situations as well. He defends his players and his team all the time anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like it's Conte. Conte is, you're out. It is what it is. Inzaghi isn't like that. So he does have a good coach around him. And it seems like the players, he does get along with them, and he seems to be part of it. It's just that he's a little bit more kind of in the background.
Yeah. No,
but he has to deliver. It's Inter. It's very simple. It's Inter. Yeah. He has to deliver. When you're called upon, you have to deliver. The same thing applies for Fratesi, for Aslani, for Arnautovic, for everyone. You have to deliver when you're called upon. It's simple as that. And if he doesn't, well, then goodbye, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But I just hope he doesn't go to Milan, which is what I think will happen. And I don't want that at all. Conceição and Taremi at Milan in a 4-4-2 with Joao Felix behind him. Sweet Jesus, no.
Yeah. No, I would start if Taremi is fully fit. I've been saying that maybe Arnautovic is ahead of in the pecking order for me right now, just because I feel like Arnautovic, whenever he comes on, most of the time he'll miss those chances. But it seems like he just magnetizes his way to a chance like every single game he plays. Whereas with Taremi, even when he gets a chance, it seems like there's that mental factor that it seems like he doesn't even get a lot of clear-cut opportunities.
Well, no, he's used tactically in a deeper role. That's clear.
No, I know, Nima, but I'm talking about like even just getting shots off. I'm talking about basics here, not just I know that he's a bit deeper. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think he's not there yet, and that's why I was a little bit critical of Inzaghi. Why didn't you play him more in the Serie A against the smaller teams?
I agree. Like, this is where, of course, we both love Inzaghi, and you love him even more than I do. But in terms of the way he manages new players,
there are question marks. There are question marks, but look again, he's not the finished product. He's getting there, and Inter knew that when they got him. So that's the thing. I would have preferred him to play against, instead of Correa and Arnautovic against Hellas away, I would have played Taremi then. These smaller teams, to get his confidence levels up scoring against them, to me that matters a little bit more. I think that would have been more important to have in this part of the season. But it's not over. Again, it's not the end of the world. To have everything in their own hands. Taremi has everything in his own hands. He just needs to focus on the job at hand, not think about everything else, and the rest will come.
Especially since Correa just evaporated since the Hellas Verona game, so it didn't give us anything like long term into the season. It just was literally that game, and then he just vanished.
That is one of the strangest careers at Inter ever, Correa. Like, I don't understand what that is. It's just the way that he turns up against Udinese and Hellas, then is gone for a year and a half, goes to Marseille, gets injured, then
0 goals, 0 assists.
then turns up great against Hellas, and then boom, done. It's a weird career.
No, yeah. What a flop that was. We'll discuss it after it's all done and dusted, where he ranks in the all-time flop list amongst the João Marios and Dalberts. One question I had, Nima, before we did give our predictions. Hakan Çalhanoğlu, you mentioned earlier whether, should maybe Zielinski start because of the way he impacted the game against Fiorentina, but surely similar concept to Lautaro early on in the season. Surely you keep playing him and form will return by playing him more and more because he does look rusty at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. But also more importantly, I think right now Zielinski, I think he should be a regista because he's a very technical and dribbling regista. Chala not as much, but I think that defensively Chala's still more solid, even though he makes mistake.
Yeah. But I think again that's down to just rustiness and just being not in match fitness, match form. We've probably rushed him back a little bit because of how bad Aslani was doing in that role. But no. I am well. Would you start what do you think of Zielinski instead of Mkhitaryan? That's always a big topic as well.
Look, I would love to see Barella, Çalhanoğlu, Zielinski together. I think that should be it. But I wonder if he can afford to do that, given how Mkhitaryan is such an intelligent player in these games. He's got so much experience and absorbs so much pressure, and is actually a decent ball progressor. I wonder if you can't, that's why Inzaghi loves him so much. He gives him guarantees and balance. He gives him midfield balance, even though he makes, he's not the best he was once upon a time. So I think that's why Mkhitaryan starts.
Especially as you mentioned with the Conceição thing, Francisco Conceição on that wing.
Yes.
Even though he did get burned on the last game, he made him look every single year of his 36 years.
He did. But
Zielinski defensively.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Zielinski defensively is a little bit, and I don't want to concede too much to Conceição, who is brilliant 1v1 for speed and technique. So I need someone there who can neutralize that with his intelligence. So that's why I'd probably start Mkhitaryan. I know you said predictions, but I think we're goalless or 1-1. Honestly, I don't see a goal fest. I hope 1-0. I hope it's a 1-0 win. I don't care who scores. At this point, I just want the win. I don't care who scores.
No, I agree. There's not really too much in this team. I'm happy with it. I think it's perfect, especially if Thuram manages to start. Dumfries had a bit of rest as well because he was suspended.
That's important. That's really important. Dumfries has played a lot, and he needed that rest. And I'm glad that he's had 10 days off. That means he'll come up to this game fully rested. This is really important for him that they are fully rested. So there's no excuses now. And I hope that, and I'm pretty sure, and I hope that they've managed the team's energy levels. Now's the business end of the season. Now's when it matters. And there have been kind of indications to suggest that Inter are looking kind of moving in the right direction. Now they need to do it consistently.
Yeah, 100%. This is the business end. This is when the big teams turn up. This is when you lose or win titles. So that's what we're looking for on Sunday. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 prediction as well. I think it's going to be one of those. Please, Kirby, this guy always predicts these big score lines and it never happens. And I don't believe in jinxes, but please don't predict this. But anyway, Nima, before you leave, please, as Matthias says, check out Nima's channel and just give us a quick little overview of Italian Football Podcast and what you do.
The Italian Football Podcast, we cover the league fully. Monday Pod is free for all on all platforms, podcasting, YouTube. Then we do a Q&A pod where people send in their questions. And for patrons only, and of course the Thursday pod where we go through the midweek action with his Champions League with Serie A, also for patrons only. And then once or twice a month we do exclusive interviews with former players and presidents. We had Materazzi on, we've had Biol on, we've had Sven Goran Eriksson when he was alive, Roy Hodgson, name it, you can check it out. So make sure at @ItaFootPod on all platforms.
Yes, definitely. I am a Patreon since day one. Oh, Pavard for in the first goal, man.
Oh, I'd love
When-
that. I'd love that. I would
Yeah.
absolutely love that. If he breaks his duck away against Juve in a win, that would be brilliant.
Or Benji L'interista, he will go
Benji
down in
L'interista,
history of
yeah.
that one.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah, there we go. There was some balance here now. Some anti-jinx coming in from Mattia. The 1-0 for you.
Matija Jovic. Serbia is he? I assume he's Serbian because his name is
Yeah,
Jovic.
yeah, he's
so-
Serbian. Yeah,
he's
he's
deep.
Luka Jovic's cousin.
Really?
No. I just
Just made
say
that
that
up.
to him to annoy him.
Yeah. So it's the Serbian anti-jinx.
Yeah, Serbian anti-jinx. But anyway, thank you everyone for coming through. Even Nazarius come through right at the end here. Thank you everyone that's come through. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I won't be here for the post-match reaction because I'm away. I'm going away to work to Ireland tomorrow. That's why we did the stream today. So I won't be no post-match live stream as usual, guys. Apologies, but I'll try to cook something up if I get time. But yeah, I'm sure Nima and Carlo will do something, right? You guys will do a reaction.
We'll do. Yeah, Monday we got a big thing on that. It's going to be a big weekend for both ends of the table, both Juve, Inter, Napoli, Lazio, Napoli, and then of course you got Lecce, Monza, Hellas in the bottom there as well. It's very, very spicy. Yeah, that's another thing. If Hakan scores a penalty, wasn't that the result as well the first season? 1-0 Hakan pen.
No, it was
no, away. We beat them away 1-0 with a Hakan penalty, didn't we? In Inzaghi's first season. Pretty sure we beat them away. We were outplayed. I have no idea how we won that.
Maybe. Was that Coppa Italia? I can't remember. It was the one where Lukaku got it was the Lukaku. Oh yeah, the Lukaku racism incident, wasn't it? Oh,
no, that's season 2. I'm talking about Inzaghi's season 1 with Dzeko. I'm pretty sure we won that with a penalty from Hakan, and Hakan had to retake the penalty. If I'm not mistaken.
Maybe. Yeah. So Suraj says the same.
Yeah,
so
he missed
right.
Yeah, exactly. No. Yeah. Again, season 1. If that happens, then
yeah, then this is like copy and paste, control C.
It's getting scary then. Yeah.
And no rat effing, as Nima would say as well. What's the expected? What's the XRF?
The XRF. Yeah, the XRF is if Inter get a penalty, you are getting a penalty. So you can put your mortgage on that.
I mean, the referees, I don't want to get into Nima because otherwise we'll go over, but the refereeing this season, the standard has been atrocious. So I'm expecting more of that Sunday.
No, it's been dreadful. And that's why I thought it was so hilarious when Conte had his epic meltdown today.
I'll go and watch that press conference because I'm sure it'll make me laugh.
This is the thing. The pressure's really heating up now.
Yeah.
And you can tell all of them are feeling it. Yeah. You know, like Inzaghi's pissed for the first time since he came to Inter, and he's like barking now at people. Conte is completely furious at everything now, or externally, not internally. Internally, everything's great. I mean, now Antonio Conte, we learned from Antonio Conte that he came to Napoli to grow the club, to grow the
now he wants to have youth systems put in place and training grounds. You'd rather have a training ground. He actually said you would rather have a training ground than a player.
Instead of spending 20, the quote I think was, instead of spending 20, 30, 70 million on a player, io sono qui per far crescere il club. That made me laugh a lot.
Il progetto.
Antonio, the Antonio, the guy who builds dynasties for long term. Yeah. No, he's hilarious. He's feeling the pressure. They're all feeling the pressure, and it's going to be interesting to see where they go from this.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, guys, see you for the post-match reactions. I said, I don't know when it will be, but I will see you for it. And hopefully Lazio do us a favor on the other side of things. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Always, guys, Forza Inter. Ciao. Thank you, Nima. Hope